Your guitar solos suck, but that's okay. For a long time mine did too. Some people might even argue that they still suck, but that's besides the point. In this video I'm going to show you 5 common reasons that your guitar solos are not as good as they could be, and the super easy solutions to fix these problems. And it doesn't matter what style of music you play, these fixes apply to any genre. So if that sounds good to you, grab your guitar and let's go. Alright, so the first reason your solos suck, and probably one of the most common issues for guitar players, is that you are stuck going up and down one position of the minor pentatonic scale. Now don't get me wrong, the minor pentatonic played in the first position is the backbone for tons of iconic solos, but in this scale, or any scale for that matter, phrasing is everything. So I'm going to show you 2 examples. Both of them are in the A minor pentatonic scale in the first position. And the first one is what I see all the time, it's just people going up and down the minor pentatonic scale. And now in this next one, we're going to play the exact same scale, but we're going to introduce some cool phrasings, and you'll notice how much better it sounds. So in these 2 examples, we're playing the exact same scale, practically the exact same notes, but our phrasing makes a world of difference in the impact and tone of the solo. And both of them take about the same amount of technique to pull off. So here's a few cool phrasings or licks that you can play within that first position of the minor pentatonic. The first one is kind of a bluesy ascending lick. So slowly. So we're going to start by bending a full step at the 7th fret of the G string with our ring finger. And then we're going to bridge our index finger across the 5th fret of the B and E strings. And then we're going to do a pull off from the 8th to the 5th fret of the B string. Then 7th, 5th fret of the G string. And then we're going to end on the 7th fret of the D string with some vibrato. So. So when I do those pull-offs from the B string to the G string and then end on the D string, for increased speed, I do all up picks. Another cool bluesy type phrasing happens on the lower strings. And this works really good when you're kind of descending and going down to these lower strings to just give it a little bit more interest. So slowly we're going to do this kind of back and forth between the A string and the D string. So we're going to start at the 7th fret of the A string. And we're just going to keep going back to that 7th fret. So 7th fret A string, 5th fret D string. Then 7th fret A string, 7th fret D string. Then 7th fret A string, back to 5th fret D string. So we're just going to palm mute, and then we're going to just let off on that palm mute on the last note. And this is something you can kind of work with, because a lot of times when people are stuck in that first position, they just kind of go through the scale. And it doesn't sound as cool as when you skip some notes. So we're still playing those same 4 notes, we're just playing them in a different order with a little bit more feel. Alright, so issue number 2 is very similar to issue number 1. So you figured out some cool phrasings in that first position of the minor pentatonic box, but now you're just stuck there. So if the song's in A, we're basically stuck within the 5th position, or at the 17th fret, where the scale repeats. So the first step into kind of breaking out of that is we want to kind of expand the boundaries of the minor pentatonic scale. So if we know that first position, what we want to do is we want to kind of expand up to the higher notes. So the first position we can kind of expand to is this little pocket. We go up to the high E at the 8th fret and the B at the 8th fret. We've got those 2 notes. So we've got the 8th and 10th fret of the B and E string. And then we've also got the 9th fret of the G string here. So now we've added a little bit extra that we know of that scale without having to memorize too much more. And if we go the other way, we can also expand down. There's another little pocket here at the 3rd and 5th fret of the E and A strings. So if we're working on a kind of nice ascending run through the minor pentatonic, we can start here. and then we're back in that familiar pocket. And then we can continue on to that expanded pattern. And then we've also got the rest of the pattern. And so this is just the first step in kind of expanding your horizons with that minor pentatonic scale. And it's really simple to do to kind of expand the higher notes and the lower notes within those pockets. And then once you've got those spots figured out and the phrasings that you can use there, you can kind of expand farther. All right, so the next big mistake you're making with your solos is you're trying to cram in too many notes and really try to cover up the lack of cool phrasing by overcompensating with a bunch of notes. And while there's totally a time and place for a bunch of notes, if you're just relying on that alternate picking, constant pace, fast notes, it's gonna get boring real fast. So again here, we wanna focus on phrasing over quantity of notes. A lot of times less is more. So instead of the first example, we can sound better in kind of short bursts, playing this Jimmy Page style descending pattern. So we're just doing a descending pattern within the minor pentatonic. And in the context of a song, we could do something like... So again, phrasing makes all the difference. The second lead uses less notes, it's easier to play cleanly, and it sounds way cooler. So pay attention to your favorite guitar player's solos, and if you hear a cool section or just a series of notes that you like, go figure out what they're doing, figure out what scale it's in, and figure out how to incorporate it into your lead play. The next issue I see all the time is guitar players trying to cram a minor scale into a major keyed song. And while this is not technically wrong, you can play solos in the corresponding minor scale in a major keyed song. For example, playing the A minor pentatonic scale for your solo over a song that's in the key of A major, but a lot of times it's not gonna sound as good as if you played a major scale over that song. And there are a few cases where you can play either or both, especially in the blues, but if your solos are sounding a little bit off and you know you're in the right key, try switching from a minor scale to a major scale or vice versa. So let's listen to two examples. This song is in the key of A major, and the first one we're gonna play an A minor pentatonic solo over it, and the next one we're gonna play an A major scale over it, and see which one sounds better to you. Alright, so to my ears, the major scale solo sounded way better and way more appropriate over the song in the major key. And this is a common trap that most guitar players fall into when they're first starting out, because you memorize the minor pentatonic scale in that first position, and then you figure out that you can move it up and down the fretboard into the key of the song that you're playing in. And a lot of rock music is in a minor key, so a lot of times it can work really well. And even when you're playing in a major key, it doesn't sound horrible, but it just doesn't sound as good as it could be. So if you know the key of the song you're soloing over, and your solo just isn't sounding great, you may want to try switching the type of scale that you're playing from major to minor or minor to major. And so the last issue I hear all the time is out of tune unison bends. So if you don't know, a unison bend is basically bending a second string up to match the pitch of the first string. So for example, if we play the 5th fret of the B string, that's an E note. Then we're gonna play the 7th fret of the G string. That's a D note, and we're gonna bend that D up to match the E. And when played properly, the two notes are in unison, and that's why it's called a unison bend. And this technique can be used in solos to really kind of emphasize a note and cut through. Or even do like an ascending pattern. But if you're gonna play those and even all types of bends, you really need to develop an ear for pitch. Now a lot of times you can get away with out of tune bends when you're just playing a single note, because they can sound kind of cool going up and down. But when playing the unison bends, if you're not playing them in good pitch, they're gonna sound bad. And that goes for 99% of the time. There are exceptions like Johnny Thunders, who bends his unison bends out of tune all the time and it sounds cool. And a lot of punk bands will kind of do it on purpose. But if you're playing these things in a little bit more traditional method, you want to stay in pitch. So here's an example of playing them in pitch. Now let's hear that same progression not bent properly. it sounds like a train wreck. So unless you're going for the train wreck sound, practice slowly getting up to that right pitch. And hold it there, and just practice that over and over again. You'll not only develop muscle memory in your fingers of how much you have to kind of push or stretch the strings in order to reach that pitch, but you're also training your ear to hear those unison moments. And it really helps to use a tuner while you do these. So if you have a tuner that has a bypass mode where you can actually hear what you're playing while you're tuning, try doing bends up and down the neck and nailing that perfect unison pitch. So that's it for this one. I hope you liked the video. If you appreciate this content, remember to like and subscribe. And check out my website, ScottO'BrienGuitar.com. I have my beginner electric guitar course up now. It takes you from scratch, like never having played guitar before, all the way up to rock and roll proficiency in 10 easy to follow videos with some cool songs to learn along the way. And I'll see you guys next time.